Hello everyone and welcome to another video. In this one we will be fixing all of these to-dos, so from here with the break question and from here with the pool allocator. Alright, so I think we can start by this break and this to-do exists because we currently cannot have nested for each, because this for each uses a goto and the goto breaks stuff because because duplicate label, right? So one way I see that we can fix this is to have a simple variable in here. So I can simply say break is equal to false initially, obviously. So I can move all of that. This is not properly indented, I don't know why, but we can indent it like that. And here I can say this, and this already broke. Oh, is it actually? No, I think it's actually correct, right? Just the tab size is a bit large, and here I can just say, that, and like so. Alright, so we have this break variable, and we basically just need to, so when we have this, we basically just need to set break to true, right? We can just set break to true, and I think that we can just simply add an if in here. Yes, we can in fact add an if in here. If break, I can simply break because this is a do while loop and I can break from the do while loop, right? Oh, but this is, yeah, well, we can change the name to breaking, right? Okay, because break is already a reserved keyword, right? So this should fix the first problem, and we no longer need this end loop here, this end loop tag. So this should already fix some stuff. So we have breaking, this is false, and then here we set breaking to true, and if breaking is true, then we break from this do while loop and we no longer execute this code. All good. And now this is complaining. Why is it? He's complaining about some weird stuff. What is it complaining about? I'm not really aware. Is incomplete type. What is going on? What is this? Oh, this is very weird. This is very weird. So it's complaining this is an incomplete type. What about this? So it says that this is a double. Okay, let me check it. So the inner, it is a double. How can it be? Oh, because I'm here. Yeah, so here I need to put inner and here I need to put outer, right? So the compiler did catch that. And can I? Yes, I can run it. Okay, so why did it run so many times? So here we have a bucket, so this is outer. Okay, so it's running 102 and then it's constantly running 200. We need to check that, but for now let's stick with it. And here we have the same problem. Yes, we do have in fact the same problem. Okay, so the break we implemented is not working because when we add a new element, it adds many of them, right? So, oh, yeah, I know why. Because here, yeah, this is incomplete, right? Because here we also need to break, right? So we need to break from this for loop. Okay, that's the first thing. And the second thing is that we need to break from this list for each. And here we need to break from this list for each, which makes total sense. So we can create a simple macro that it can be a list. I'm thinking about if this macro can be generic or not. Can I define a macro called break, or does this violate C? Well, apparently I can. Let me not run the demo for now. Yes, I can compile. So I can, but this is probably going to redefine the break keyword, maybe. Well, what if I do this? Well, let's see. So here I just need to define break. Oh, but yeah, different for each may have different break situations. So I actually need to do this list for each break probably. And the list for each break, it's basically going to. Oh, this is a very interesting thing actually. This is a very interesting thing because. So here I have this. Well, actually, no. Because this is a continue. Okay, so I have this completely wrongly formatted. This is the correct format. And I can simply break from this for each here. So I can simply say list for each break, right? Can simply say that. And my list for each break, it's going to be, well, I'm thinking about something. Yeah, I probably can do something fun, right? I can have a generic break. So here in collections, I can have, so this is going to, so these are the collections, and this is a collection interface, and we are going to have for now a break macro that is going to accept the collection. Okay, it's going to accept the collection and nothing else, and this is going to use the C11 generic feature. I can show it to you, so we can have generic C11 docs. Let me go to this documentation. So in C11 this generic keyword was added, and it basically allows us to pick to branch based on types, right? So we have this generic keyword, we then have an assignment expression followed by a ASOC list or association list, and this association list is going to have an association, and here we are going to have the type name followed by the expression, and then we can have a default case. So I think this is good. So we can have here in the generic, we can have the collection, and this is why, oh, I don't know why, okay, and this is why I have this these generic structures, right, that go inside every single one of these definitions or declarations, because now I can filter or use this macro based on the type of the options, right? So this is actually pretty good. So I can say this, and let me see the actual, do I have an example? Yes. So I can say that, then I can simply put a comma and then the type. So here I can simply say list, and if I have a list, I'm going to use the list break, and the list break is going to be list for each break, right? So I can have a break, and this break is simply going to be breaked because I don't need anything special, I think, because if my code is here, I just need to break from this loop, and to do that I can simply do this, right? So I can simply say that. So this is going to call list for each break. What else do we need? We need oh, this is not what I want. Why did I do that? I don't know. We need the other struct, the bucket list, so we can add the bucket list here, and then for the bucket list we can have another macro that is going to call define for each break, and we will see how this is going to be implemented. So I can put it to do here, but if we are in the case where the options of this collection are, I need to do this, are a bucket list, I can use the bucket list for each break. And for now I think I can have a default case. Can I simply do this? Is this allowed? I'll need to check that, to be honest, but okay. So I think that's everything. So I now have a generic break, and I think I can use it here. So this break is going to be used like this. So I call break, and inside break I need to provide the collection, right? The collection I want to break the for each, and this is going to automatically, based on the collection itself, is going to pick the correct break macro, right? So this is that, and here this is going to work, so I don't need any extra implementation in here. So this is the add, and this should already work. Let's test this, by the way, because we just added a new feature, the C11 generic thingy. So let's test it. So expected expression before break on line 74. Why do you expect an expression before break? This is a macro. Do you want me to do this? Oh, in definition list for each. Oh, okay, so it's probably complaining actually about this code. Right, for now let me call just list for each break for now, so I can compile and then debug things in an easier way. I think I can already run my demo. Yeah. This is already working actually properly. Yeah, so we are breaking properly now, and this code is no longer doing strange stuff. But let me do this and check it. So we need, this is the bucket list demo, and here in my bucket list demo I can probably, or I should probably add an extra new line in here. So we have nested for each, and we have the inner under 200, and then we have outer and inner again, right? So it's working now. Okay, so we fixed one of the problems. Now I need to fix my thing, so let me remove the default case for now. Let me remove this. Maybe I cannot have macros in here, but I should be able to, right? I should be able to have them in theory. Let me think once again about this. So if I have break and I provide my collection, so I want a specific break for this collection, can I do that? And it doesn't allow me to do this. So why doesn't it allow me to do this? What kind of code does this generate? I'm interested in that. So, well, I can actually just take a look at it. Well, what comes before this? So we have breaking equals true, then we have break, and then we have break again. So where is my breaking equals true? Here we have the container, looping through the container, occupied. We have breaking equals true, which is 1, right? So then we have break, and then we have this generic, and this is not working. Right, why is this working? So we have outer buckets, and then we take the options from that. And then we take the options from that, and then we pick the correct stuff. Oh, I know why, because bucket list does, okay, because bucket list doesn't have an implementation. Yeah, so if I add an implementation here, let me just say break for now. This is still going to complain. Okay, so that's another problem. So this is the code that we want to check. So, oh, okay, so this is not an expression. Oh, okay. Yeah, that sucks, to be honest. So, that's actually quite interesting. How can I fix this? I'm thinking about using macros. Can I do something like, let me test this, right? So let me test this. Can I can probably just lazy evaluate this, maybe. Let me check it. So if I do something like this, right, so this is obviously going to complain because, oh, let me just put here that, right, for now. And this is complaining because it expects an expression. So if I do something like this, oh, because I need to, okay, let me define a macro for now, say test, and test is going to be equal to this, and here I'm going to call test. Okay, and where do you expect an expression? Okay, but this still evaluates to that. This still evaluates to that. So what if I do something like this instead? So if this is a functional macro, so if I make that a functional macro and this a functional macro, what is this going to evaluate to? Okay, so this evaluates to the correct thing, and here I can probably just call the macro in air quotes, maybe. List for each is undefined. It still complains it's undefined. Right. Oh, let me do that. So does this complain? List for each break is undefined. Right. So if I cannot do that, and I cannot do that. I think, I don't know if this is going to be possible, to be honest. I don't know if the C preprocessor will allow me to do this kind of stuff, because I'm trying to find a way to lazy evaluate my thing, because this is going to be evaluate to break, and this is not an expression, right? Right, so what can I do? So this needs to be an expression, that needs to be expression. Can I simply, right, so let me remove this for now, and let me just work with my list for each break. If I do something like this, right, so now we have that, and this is going to evaluate to break. Oh, because this is a bucket list. Do I have a list in here? I don't have a list, so let me just say bucket list, right? This is test code. Okay, so this works, but this evaluates to the string break. Right. Can I do this? I wonder. What does this evaluate to? Oh, okay, so generic does not expand the stuff. Oh, that's okay, that's going to be problematic, to be honest. So yeah, what if I say test2, and here I say test, and then I force it to be pasted? Oh, actually, what does test2 evaluate to? It still evaluates to this, right? So I say this, and I say A, and this is A, and then I pass test to test1. This still evaluates to this, right? Oh god. So yeah, that's going to be quite a challenge. Right, so is this an expression? Well, this is probably an expression, right? That's probably an expression, maybe. So let me remove these, and can I have just test? What does this evaluate to? So it's complaining about something. Okay, so it no longer complains. It no longer complains about not being an expression, right? So maybe this is going to work. Maybe this is going to work. Let me put this in the lib file. So let me test this theory, right? Let me test this. So this, okay, apparently it works, which is fascinating. Okay, so, and yeah, I'm using it here. So I'm using the generic break that accepts a collection and breaks from its for each. Now I just need to test if this actually breaks from the loop, right? And to test that I can just use this, and I already have functions that use that. Okay, it still complains about stuff. It still complains about stuff, so let's take a look at it. ISOC forbids braced groups within expressions. Okay, so can I not use braces? Where is the other one? Here. So is this still an expression? Can you tell me that? It's not an expression, right? Expected expression before that. Right. So I will need to go a little bit deeper, and I need to search for C expression grammar, I guess. I need to take a look at the C expression grammar from C11, I guess. I don't want generic selection, I actually want the C grammar. Can you give me the C grammar? Is this what I want? Probably not. But I hope this is compatible with the standard C and is not like some made up stuff from some people, but simple or and expression and expression. So that is in fact an expression. So can I do something like one and this? Is this valid? It expands to then it's complaining here. It's complaining there. So once again, I need to take a look at it. Yeah, it's complaining here because it expects an expression. So what does generic consider to be an expression? That's the kind of stuff I was not really anticipating when I thought about this. So is this an expression or is it a statement? Let me say this is A. So can I do something like this? And let me just use the buckets to be easier. So if I call hey in here and I pass it inner buckets, right? Compound literal is not allowed. Okay. So what if I do this? A break statement may only be used within a loop or a switch. Okay, so let me break here before you print that. It's already complaining. List because this is actually a list, right? So can I say list for each break without this blowing up? No, we still expect an expression. Okay, so I think that the only thing we can do, first thing off, I need to check if this kind of stuff is an expression. Can I say this? Breaking is equal to true. Is this considered an expression? Breaking is undefined. Okay, so if I define breaking, are you still going to complain? Are you still going to complain? You are not. At least here, right? At least here. So, okay. Oh, because I have that. So if I remove this, are you going to complain? You are not. Okay. So let me test that, I guess. So I can do that. Here I need to do the same thing. So breaking is equal to true. And I cannot probably, yeah. And inside of for each I will need bool breaking equal to false. And then where is my code? So my code is here, right? My code is here. And if I break from this loop, then here I need to check if breaking. Right. Yes, I think. And if it is breaking, then I need to call break on this stuff. Break on that. And that should break this. Right? That should break that. So I don't know if I like this approach, to be honest. But let's see if it works. So breaking, and then I can say break. So this is simple. Okay. And actually here I need to check actually that here, because I need to break from this slot I am in right now, right? So I actually need to say something like this and break here. Okay, I'll probably search if this works. I'll probably find an alternative by searching if there is a way to not redefine labels or something like that, but let's see how this goes, right? Okay, so you are no longer complaining. That's good. Is this okay? So unused variable, so we have the same problem in base rotation 119. So it's complaining about this one. Oh, it's the same problem, right? So one way to fix it is by simply voiding it. So I need to do that here. So I need to void breaking, and I need to do the same thing up here, probably, yeah, where I do the iterator. I need to also void my breaking variable. Okay, is this complaining anywhere? I don't think so. Let me just trim white space and okay. So okay, so this approach, let me just double check. It does work, right? It does work, because here I am. Oh, this is not. Where is I don't want this. I just want. Let's say I want to break here, so I need to break from this list and not print any element from the inner loop. This still prints 100. Why is that? Because I actually have this kind of stuff swapped around. So this is my code. I have my code in here. Oh, this is interesting. So I actually cannot do this, because this, if I break here, so this code is going to be executed, right? This specific scope is going to be executed. So I break, this break is going to start, it's going to set this breaking to true. Then I'm going to execute this, and only then I'm going to break. So this was a nice try, but this does not work, right? This does not work. So I need to go back to the label problem, right? To the go-tos. And I actually didn't like this approach too much, because it was a bit inefficient, because I'm going to run this condition every single time, and I don't like it. So let me do this. So if C check if label is already defined, okay, this is for C++. Yeah, I probably will need to use these if things. Yeah, whatever. Let me try to implement my idea. So this was a nice try, but it doesn't fit our needs. So I'm going to remove it. I'm going to remove it like so. And here I am also going to remove it. That was a nice try. So what can we do? So the first thing I want to do is to have a label once again, but this label needs to first be unique, right? So one way to do this, to have this unique label, is to have line concatenated to, oh yeah, but this needs to be right. So I'm probably just going to use line. What is the scope of a label in C? Scope of label in C. Is it function? Function scoped. Right. So it's safe, right? It's safe to do what I want to do. So let's say this is going to be end. This is going to be concatenated, or yeah, I can say for each end, for each underscore end concatenated to the line number, and this is going to be my label. Okay, so this is already unique. Yeah, and here I can simply say that when I want to break, so this list for each break is just going to be, actually I don't even need, yeah, I don't even need this code anymore, or this code, because now every time I want to break from a loop, I can just say this. So here in the generic API I can simply say, I'm going to say for each break, and I can just say go to that, right? And this should work as well. And now this is going to not compile, right? This is not going to compile, but I can fix that later. Let me also modify this here. I don't want any breaking stuff. I don't want this. This is going to be an interesting case, but yeah, this is going to be an interesting case. Yeah, that's quite interesting, actually, because I may actually still need this code in here. Yeah, I may still need this code in here, because, yeah, let me just keep that for now. And here in the for each, I'm going to remove it. I'm going to remove this, and I am going to add my label. I don't have the code anymore. I'm going to add it here. Okay, so this is going to give me a label redefinition problem. And oh, and here I don't use break, I use for each break, right? For each break, and I don't need any of this. So no need to have macro overloading. Okay, so I have for each break. Okay, then this should not compile, yeah, because it expects a semicolon. Where does it expect a semicolon? So I have that. Did I forget a semicolon somewhere? Let me see the expansion of the macro and see where did I forget a semicolon. It has this unrecognized token in printf outer. So did I add an extra slash somewhere by mistake? Let me see. So I have slashes here, slashes here. I don't think I added a slash by mistake. Oh, yes, I did. It's right here, so I need to delete it. So what about now? Are you happy? No, you're still complaining about something. So let me once again see the expansion, because you are complaining about this. And where am I using this break? I'm not using that break, so you are just being slow, right? Yeah. So my IntelliSense is just incredibly... Oh, okay, here. Right. Let me just use then for each break. So I'm going to break there. Let's see if... Yeah, so this is the problem I want to avoid. Right, so... Well, this does in fact generate a lot of error messages. So... Yeah, okay. So how do I fix this problem? So the first idea that comes to my mind is to have something like this. So I can say define this, right? So we can simply define that. Oh, but I cannot have defines inside defines. That really screws up my... Oh god. So I need to know a way to see label, check if it exists. Wow, so this is going to be a very hard problem actually. So I was not expecting this to be so freaking hard. Because boy. And this also does not work with, if I have, for example, here an if, let's say 1, and I have an and if, this is no longer going to work because and if, oh, this actually does not complain, but this shouldn't actually compile, right? This should not actually compile. Well, let me go back. Where is my... Yeah, it's here. Let me just comment these things for now. Is this going to compile? Because this is a single line, right? Oh, this is not concatenating. Right, so this is actually not concatenating my... Huh. Okay, so what if I say something like this for each break name, label name, and here I receive the line, and then I just do this, and so for the preprocessor to evaluate it, I probably need this kind of stuff. Maybe. I'm already super confused, so I need to test things out like this. So this is traversing... Oh, this is traversing to the bucket list, so I also need that in my bucket list. Bucket list for each. Okay. sorry, for each, right? But this already defines that. Yeah, that already defines that, so that's going to be problematic. Identifier line is undefined. Oh, because I actually need like so. Line like so. Yeah, and here I also need to pass line like this. Did I pass line? Yeah, I did. Okay, so let me not have this. What are you complaining right now? So okay, because I cannot have these kinds of comments, I need to actually have these kinds of comments in here, because this is going to be in lines, right? That's another thing we need to take into account. And here, what does this expand to? And what is it complaining about? So expected a new semicolon. Where do you expect a semicolon? Because I don't see any complaint. Oh, here. Okay, so this for each label is not being. Why is this not being evaluated? Didn't I type it properly? So I have here. Oh, I did not. For each rec label, right? Ah, okay, I made the same mistake everywhere. Okay, so this should fix that problem. Alright, so one of the problems is fixed, I think. Let me test this first. Does this compile? It does not compile, right? Because it still complains about duplicate labels. Okay, so we fixed about having multiple nested loops inside the function, but now we need to fix the duplicate label inside the nested loop itself, or inside the loop itself, right? So how can I possibly do that, right? How can I possibly do that? So I need to find a way to search for the nestedness of my thing. So, alright, how can I use a macro to determine the nestedness of my thing? So this list for each works like that, right? Can I do something like C preprocessor check if variable exists? Can I check if a variable exists? Okay, so it is using that. That's a nice trick, actually. So I can actually use this generic keyword that I was referring to previously to actually determine the level in which my nested loop is on, I believe. Or can I? I probably can. So yeah, let me try this. So I'm going to need for each nested level, right, for each nested level, and this is going to use this trick. So this is going to use this trick, and for that I am going to need basically to define a const struct. Well, but this is not going to be, well, I actually need to define it to extern, right? So I can say extern struct, and this is going to be any type, so I can call it for each nested level, right? And this is going to contain anything, doesn't matter, right? Whatever is going to contain a single char called A, and I need to define it as being my whatever dummy this, right? Okay, so that is one way, right? So here I'm going to need to accept my level, and this is going to replace my generic level. And if the type of my generic level is this one, then I'm going to return 0. Okay, otherwise I will need to return level plus 1. Right, I think that's the correct thing, because I'm going to call this function on the nested loops, right? So yeah, I think that's the correct thing, possibly. Okay, so that's one thing. And here in my for each break level name, I will need to just, oh, this has to have the same name, right? Yeah, this has to have the same name, so I'm going to call it for each level. This cannot be called dummy, so this can be for each level, right? And now for my label name, I'm going to accept the line as well as the level itself, right? I need to accept the line as well as the level. And here I'm going to append the line, then I'm going to append an underscore, and then I'm going to append the level in which my for each is. And here I provide the line, and I need to provide the level. And here I just say level, right? I just say level. And this should actually work. So let me move this upwards. Right, let me move this upwards. This should possibly work. So here I need to provide that, and on every single one of these for each macros, I will need to have, let's say, a size t with my level, so for each level, right? And this is going to be equal to this stuff, right? It's going to be equal to this stuff. I can simply say for each level, right? So here, if this is my outer loop, this is going to resolve to 0. If this is not my outer loop, this is going to resolve to whatever the previous loop had plus 1, right? And I can probably do that. Plus 1. So I think this is correct, because here I can simply say that. And this is going to generate me Oh, but oh no, yeah. Well, do labels work inside a single line? Do they work inside a single line? That's um, do they work inside a single line? I need to think. So this is actually, I need to specify this is a struct because I'm not typewriting it. But let me make something. So if I have a label and I have a printf hello world, right? And then can I have other label in here? Let me test this in my dear universe. In a single line, can I do this in a single line? So this is going to be other hello world. So can I go to label here? Is this going to work? Please tell me it is going to work. So I want here my source, the u.c, and here I want the u src. Okay, because this is okay. Let me not include this stuff. I don't want that for now. Other label defined but not used. Okay, that's not a problem because we can simply fix that problem by saying go to this and just have them on the same. Oh yeah, I can, what am I doing? Okay, I can do this and this is going to fix it. Yes, it's going to fix it. What are you doing? Really? Oh, this overrode. Yeah, I forgot to change my, okay, let me move this downwards because I will forget to change it. So this, okay. So if I go to label, this is going to print this and then this because it follows all of the statements. What if I go to other label and here I'm going to say go to label that. So if I go to my other label, and this is all on the same line, by the way, so, and I'm compiling with C2X standard, is this going to work? Yes, it is. Okay, so actually it is going to work. I had a doubt if labels work on the same line and stuff like that, but this apparently does work, so on the most recent version of C, so this is not a problem. Okay, so we can keep doing what we were doing. Okay, so this is my stuff, this is my stuff, this is the other stuff. Here I will need to have yet another thing saying go to this because labels cannot be unused apparently. So right before I define a label I need to jump to it. The compiler is probably going to optimize this away, so don't worry about that. Right, so I need to do the same thing in my bucket list for each, right? My bucket list for each. So instead of having this kind of stuff, I'm going to have this, right? I'm going to have this, and I need to have my my variable. So if I put break in here, this is going to go to, I need to think, right? But let me first define this because I don't want to forget it. Right, this is quite a weird episode to be honest. So I define my for each level here, which is going to be used there, I believe. And so if I call for each break, this is going to use my level that is inside this, which is in fact correct, I think maybe. Expected type specifier, where do you expect it? Please tell me. Okay, expected type specifier here. Oh, yeah, because I am dumb, I obviously forgot to add default here, so this is the default case. So if it actually found any integer type, it's going to sum 1 to it. Okay, this at least this complains about stuff. Yeah, okay. So this complains about stuff here because I actually never updated my thing, my bucket list add, because where do you expect stuff? It expects a new line somewhere, actually a semicolon somewhere, but where? I need to debug it. Let me see where it is complaining. I am not okay, it's here. For each end. What? Why did you do that? Why did it just do line like that? Oh, so this didn't evaluate to what I was expecting. So isn't this a standard C processor thingy? C standard. Yes, it is. Line expands to current input line number. Okay. So why didn't you... What is this? What? What is this kind of stuff? Is this some... Oh, I see label. This is some kind of local labels? What's that? Allows you to declare local labels in any nested... What? Oh, this is just a GCC feature. Okay, but I want it to be standard for C. Yeah. Local labels in C. So this is just using go-to. Right. That's not what I want. Okay, but this does a... Okay, so this is an extension, but this is supported by GCC, Clang, and Tiny C compilers, so... I'm considering using it because it would simplify our lives a lot. But as one last resort, let me do this first. So what is this going to evaluate to? It's going to evaluate to... Let me check. Is this going to evaluate something with generic? Yes, it is, but... where is it? Go to for each end line level. So it didn't evaluate it properly, right? Okay, so yeah, so it's very hard to have something like that in standard C. I think I've just hit it. The limitation of C, right? I really cannot do that. Yeah, of course, because this is all. Well, if I used underscore generic, if generic expanded at the preprocessor step, then all of this would work. Everything that I did until now, it would work because everything would be able to be resolved at compile time without any trouble. But unfortunately, C does not do that, right? So the generic keyword in C does not resolve at the preprocessor step. And since the preprocessor step and the compilation step are separate steps and they don't really communicate with each other, then there is no hope for this specific case. So I think that the only option we have to do this is to simply remove all of that, right? So none of this is going to be needed, and for now I'm going to assume defeats, and I'm going to use an extension for now, but I'm still going to think about the way to do this without using anything extra, right? Well, let me think about it, right? I think I really don't want to use an extension, right? How can I do this? So can I... Let me go back to my initial idea of using a Boolean variable called breaking. Okay, right. Let me go all the way back. So we have breaking here, and I cannot use this. We already I've seen that this is not going to work in standard C. It is going to work with using GCC and Clang extensions, but I don't want to use extensions. So if we go back to this place, we can define list for each break, and this is going to be this is just going to be break, right? So we don't actually need this variable here, and we don't need any of this. So my list for each break is just going to be break, and I'm not going to have a generic break, right? I'm not going to have a generic break for now. So I don't need any code here. Okay, so this is going to break from this loop. That's fine. Here I still need this variable, right? So breaking is equal to true, and so I can early return, and in my bucket list for each, what is it going to be? The break statements. So I don't need any of that. So to break from, yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem, right? So if I say, but I think I can have something working, I guess. If I have bucket lists break, what can I do? So I will actually need a breaking variable, right? I'm going to need a breaking variable. This is false. Okay, because my code is going to be called here, right? So here what I'm going to do, so this is going to inject in my code the following: breaking equals true, break. Well, yeah, let me do that. So breaking is called through break. So this is going to inject here, right? So this is going to break from this loop. And by breaking from this loop, then I need to break from this upper loop, right? So if breaking, then I need to call list for each break. And I think that's going to work. So after all of this, I just went back to my initial idea. So for each break is undefined. Where am I using for each break? I'm using here because I need to call list for each break, right? So I don't have a generic break. Okay, so this compiles at least. So it's already better than all of the alternatives I had before. Yeah, let me okay, it compiles and run. Wow, that's great. That's really wonderful. Now I need to test it, right? So if I have the following codes, so this is my outer, this is my inner loop, and this is going to be a long integer, if I'm not mistaken. So let me go to back to the initial scenario. So if now I say bucket list break, what is it going to happen? Right, what's going to happen? It is going to where is it? I'm once. Okay, it's here. It does work finally. Oh god, it does actually work. That's wonderful. That's really magnificent. I love it. I love it. So yeah, we now have break statements after a lot of work. Let me see how many minutes I've been working on this. 1 hour and 36 minutes. Oh my god. So after 1 hour and 36 minutes, we were finally able to have breaks for each loops. I don't really like to have different kinds of breaks for each type of for each, because in the future I wanted to have generic for each, right? So I wanted to have something like define for each, and I pass the collection and the codes, and here I wanted to simply have a generic. Let me see if this is going to work, because we already saw that generic is not a preprocessor directive. It does not expand in the preprocessor, right? So this may not even work, but let's try it. So I want that, I want this, and here depending on the type of this, so I want to pass here collection options. So depending on the type of the options, I want to call different implementations of the list for each, right? So here I'm going to say list for each collection and code, list for each collection and code. And I don't know if this expands at compile time, to be honest. This may not even expand at compile time. Let's see. So yeah, so we have that. We actually need something else, because we need a bucket list, right? And here I'm going to have a bucket list for each. Here I pass the collection and the code, and this is going to be everything. Okay, is this a valid C thingy? Apparently is not. Let me use a simpler example. So here, for example, for each. So yeah, it expects an expression. That is very sad, to be honest. but in this video we faced a lot of challenges and we actually reached the limit of C standard multiple times, both with labels, scope of labels, the definition of labels themselves, right? We reached the limit with the preprocessor because the preprocessor does not expand things when we want them to expand and does not evaluate things. We reached the limit of this keyword because this generic keyword does not expand the way we want them to expand, because this is quite stupid in my opinion, because this thing right here should happen, in my opinion, this generic keyword should be resolved in the preprocessor step, period, right? Because, well, yeah, but if this was resolved in the preprocessor step, then the C compiler would need to be modified because the preprocessor step is not aware of the types of the variables, and yeah, I understand why it is not in the preprocessor, but it should be, right? It should be, because then this stuff would be resolved before compilation, and we would not have so many problems with everything, right? So yeah, I don't think we can have generic for each for now, so we can remove them, and we will need to just keep using this stuff, I guess. We'll just need to keep using this stuff, which is not that bad, to be honest, right? Is actually quite clean. So if let's assume I come here and I want to use my base implementation. So I come here and I want to use my base implementation, right? Let's assume that. So the code itself I would need to type is not that complicated. I can just say declare bucket list, and I want to declare a bucket list of characters, and I'm going to say this is a string bucket list, right? And I could simply just grab these and I would say these are my strings, right? These are my strings, and then I could simply say bucket list add, and I would just add my strings hello world. I would say I am using my base.h lib, and I would say goodbye, whatever, bye. Yeah, I could say something like that, and then if I wanted to traverse to the bucket list, I would simply just traverse it, right? It's simple to use this library, but C prevents us to actually make it incredible, right? What is it? Where? Oh, I forgot a comma in here. Okay. So this code is super clean, right? It's super clean. It's very easy to use. It's very easy to understand what's going on. But man, I would love to have these operations being completely generic. So collection agnostic, right? And I would love to have this without any runtime overhead. And I know I could just come here and inside my options I could just have a flag saying, oh, this is a bucket list or whatever, I don't know. Actually I could have, instead of having options for each specific stuff, I could have some options, and all of my collections would use these generic options, and inside these options I could have the collection type, which could be a enum, but this would this would be word aligned, right? So it would fuck up like an entire word already, and yeah, I don't know if this is something I would want to do, because if I go with this approach, then the macro is going to expand into something completely horrible, and it's going to generate a lot of code that is not going to be executed. Because if I would go to this went with this approach, I would need to have inside my generic for each do while loop that would say that would have a switch statement, and in that switch statement it would have all of the possible cases, and each case would expand to its specific for each. So let's say I have like 3 or 4 different collection types, then you already see the size of my bucket list for each is already enormous, right? When it expands, it's completely horrible. So imagine that multiplied by 4, right? All of this code is going to be compiled, okay? It may not be executed, right? This implementation is actually quite efficient. It doesn't execute almost anything as long as it doesn't have to do it, so it's very lazy, let's say. But the code is still going to be compiled. We are still going to generate x86-64 instructions, right? And we need to be careful about that, because this kind of code is going to be used everywhere in my code base, right? And I don't want to bloat my executable size too much. So this is why I don't want to go with this approach. I know this approach may be useful sometimes for some cases, but I don't want to use it. I don't want to use it simply because it would like bloat my executable to a completely ridiculous size, right? And that's why I wanted to use this approach, right? Where I would simply filter the operation I want, the macro I want, based on the type, right? And this would hopefully, if the generic keyword worked the way I like prayed it did, which it would never work like that, but I had some hope. Then this would actually not inject that much code into the executable, because whatever. And this becomes extremely hard to work with if you want really to have a good abstraction and you don't want to bloat your code to something completely absurd. It will not be absurd, it will probably be better than JavaScript and whatever, but for the for C like quality, it would be a very unnecessary executable size. But I think like without using extensions, I don't think we would be able to do anything really. But so this is probably the best we can do right now. I think this is the best we can do using the C standard, the most recent C standard. I don't think we can get rid of this specific prefix and have just a generic add operation without really bloating the executable, and I don't want to bloat the executable, so I think this is my only approach, which is not that bad, right? I just had more expectations than the ones I was able to achieve. That's why I'm a bit mad, but this is not bad, right? I can literally declare a bucket list and use it, and everything is just fine, right? I can simply say that, and there you go. I just printed 3 strings that are stored inside the bucket list, so it's very usable. But I had hoped for more, to be honest. But C did really limit us in this episode. God, oh boy, I'm so exhausted after this one, right? I've been recording for, where is it? More than 2 hours, 2 hours and 4 minutes. So it's probably time for me to go. But so what did we do in this episode, right? We faced a lot of challenges, but we were able to implement this bucket list break. That's it. So this is everything we were able to implement. Bucket list break, and we were also, by the way, able to implement a list for each break. Do I want to call it for each break, or by the way, I don't think these names are coherent, so I probably should call this list for each break, right? I should probably call that just to be coherent with the rest. So we basically implemented these two macros right there. in an efficient way, right? So it's relatively efficient. It doesn't create too much overhead, right? So everything is fine, I guess. Yeah, and by the way, they work. Let me also explain something. I don't think I explained it to you. They work if I have yet another stuff in here. So if I have three nested loops, right? If I have three nested loops, this requires a parenthesis there. So if I have three nested loops and if I break from here, this is never going to be executed, right? So this break refers always to the current loop, right? This break refers always to the current loop. If that was not explicit while I programmed it, I'm going to demonstrate it now. As you can see, this code is never executed, this one, because this break acts on this one, right? So yeah. Yeah, I think that's everything for now. I'll work on my pool implementation in the next video. I'm going to improve it a little bit, so I'm basically going to add multiple blocks, multiple sized blocks actually. So I'm going to have blocks for very small allocations, blocks for medium-sized allocations, blocks for large allocations, and then blocks that are like custom size that don't really fit in those three categories, right? And I'm going to also use in my pool allocator the bucket list itself that we have implemented in the last few episodes. Okay, yeah, thank you for watching, and I see you tomorrow.